Right. So today we're going to do a deep dive into Dollar General,
Okay.
a retail giant that seems to be kind of like thriving and struggling at the same time,
Yeah.
which is really interesting. We're going to be looking at their Form 10Q for the quarter ending November 1st, 2024.
Yeah, their most recent quarterly report.
Yeah, so this is like straight from the horse's mouth.
Absolutely straight from the source.
How are they doing? And what are they thinking and what's going on?
Exactly.
So to start off, just to give everyone a sense of the scale of this company, Dollar General, as of November 1st, 2024, had 20,523 stores
Wow.
across 48 states.
That's a lot of stores.
That's a lot of stores.
Yeah.
And get this, they're in Mexico now, too.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me.
Yeah, they started expanding into Mexico last year in 2023.
And I think that really shows their confidence in their business model, right?
Yeah.
They're offering this mix of name brand and their own private label products,
Yeah.
but at rock bottom prices. And that's really where they've found their success, is that value and convenience.
So you'd think they'd just be kind of like, okay, we're good, we're set.
Right.
But no, their expansion plans are crazy ambitious.
Yeah, they're not resting on their laurels.
They're not resting on their laurels.
No.
So they opened 207 new stores just in Q3 2024.
Wow.
They remodeled 434 and relocated 27.
That's incredible. I mean, the logistics of that alone,
Yeah.
it's mind-boggling.
And their goal for this entire fiscal year is 730 new stores total.
Yeah, and that includes those pop shelf stores, which
Yeah.
is their slightly more upscale kind of trendy concept.
Yeah, it's interesting because they're actually converting some of those back into regular Dollar Generals now.
Yeah. What do you think that says about maybe the consumer and how they're feeling right now?
Yeah, I mean, maybe people are less interested in like a, cute throw pillow for the couch
Right.
when they're, worried about their grocery bill, which is going up.
Exactly.
And Dollar General seems to be focusing more and more on groceries,
Absolutely.
really upping their game in that area.
They are, and they're being really strategic about it.
Yeah.
They're developing different store formats to cater to different markets.
Okay.
Their 8,500 square foot format seems to be emerging as their primary model.
Oh,
Those stores, they have more coolers.
okay.
They have a wider selection of products.
Okay.
Some even offer fresh produce.
Okay.
So it's clear that Dollar General is really betting on this format.
So they're expanding, they're growing, but are there roadblocks? Are there challenges?
Well, I mean, the report doesn't shy away from the challenges.
Yeah.
I mean, one term that jumps out is shrink.
Shrink.
And this is a major issue for them.
So for people who aren't familiar with the retail lingo, what does shrink mean?
Shrink is basically losses due to shoplifting, employee theft, damaged goods.
Okay.
All of these things that kind of eat into a company's profits.
So is this like a couple bags of chips walking out the door, or is this like a serious problem?
It's actually pretty significant. The 10Q reveals that shrink is having a noticeable impact on their overall financial results for the year.
Wow.
And they're trying to combat it
Yeah.
with things like, those updated self-checkout systems you might have seen in your local DG.
Do you think those things contribute to shoplifting, though?
It's certainly a possibility, right?
Yeah.
It's that balance between convenience and security.
Right.
It's a tough one for retailers.
And on top of that, I mean, we've still got inflation,
Yeah.
even if it's cooling down a bit.
Uh-huh.
And then interest rates are higher, so it's more expensive for companies like Dollar General to borrow money for all this expansion that they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, these are powerful forces that are impacting businesses of all sizes right now.
Yeah, so it's like they need to expand to stay competitive,
Right.
but the expansion's getting more expensive,
Yeah.
and their profits are being squeezed at the same time.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
That's why this 10Q is so fascinating, because it gives us a window into how a company like Dollar General navigates these complexities.
Yeah.
And it's not just about reacting to these external pressures.
Right.
It's also about evolving consumer behavior.
And it seems like Dollar General's really aware of like what people are buying and
Yeah.
how they're having to prioritize.
Yeah, you can definitely see that reflected in the 10Q.
Okay.
People are definitely focusing more and more on those essential items.
Yeah.
Groceries, cleaning supplies, things like that.
Right.
And the thing is, those products typically have lower profit margins for retailers
Oh.
than those, non-essential items.
So that makes sense why Pop Shelf is kind of struggling then.
Yeah.
People are cutting back on those like, I don't necessarily need that right now.
Yeah.
Purchases.
Right. The discretionary spending is definitely down
Yeah.
when the grocery bill is higher.
Exactly. And so, are they going to phase out Pop Shelf altogether? Is that a possibility?
I mean, it's certainly a possibility. But let's shift gears a little bit. And talk about some of the strategic initiatives that Dollar General is implementing to navigate this challenging landscape.
Okay.
Because the 10Q offers some really valuable insights into how they're adapting.
Okay.
For instance, they're really doubling down on their DG Fresh program.
Okay. What is DG Fresh? I'm not sure I'm familiar with that.
So DG Fresh is essentially their self-distribution system
Okay.
for refrigerated and frozen goods.
Okay. So they're not going through a third party.
Right. They're cutting out the middleman
Okay.
and taking control of the process.
Interesting. So, like, what are the benefits of that for Dollar General?
Well, the goal is increased efficiency,
Okay.
potentially reduced costs.
Right.
By handling distribution themselves, they can negotiate better prices with suppliers.
Okay.
They can potentially minimize spoilage through more efficient logistics
Got it.
and ultimately boost profitability.
Especially for those consumable products that everyone's buying.
Exactly.
Okay. So they're trimming the fat, so to speak.
Yes, streamlining operations.
But what about the digital side of things?
So they are definitely making strides in the digital space.
Yeah. Okay.
Their mobile app is getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
They've even partnered with a third-party delivery service
Oh, wow.
to offer that added layer of convenience for customers.
And their app is getting really sophisticated, like they're building their own advertising platform now.
Right. The DG Media Network.
Yeah.
Think about the potential there.
Targeted ads, right, to shoppers. That's a gold mine.
It's a goldmine of data and revenue.
Yeah.
Right?
And so it seems like they're playing offense and defense here. They're trying to squeeze out every penny of profit by being more efficient.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then they're also adapting to how things are changing by, embracing technology and convenience.
Exactly. If you connect the dots between these initiatives,
Yeah.
a clear pattern emerges.
Okay.
Dollar General is pursuing a two-pronged strategy.
Okay.
First, they are laser-focused on operational efficiency,
Makes sense.
tightening their inventory control, optimizing their logistics, even leveraging targeted marketing.
Yeah, to combat that shrink in the damages.
Exactly. And the second part of their strategy is all about catering to the evolving demands of their customer.
Yep.
They recognize that convenience is king in today's fast-paced world.
Right.
So offering delivery services, enhancing the app experience,
Yeah.
focusing on those essential items that shoppers are prioritizing.
It sounds like they're being really proactive.
They are, but we can't forget about the legal battles that they're facing.
Oh, right. Yeah, that could really throw a wrench in things.
Yeah, you bring up a good point.
Yeah.
The 10Q does reveal some ongoing legal issues.
Yeah.
And those can be quite costly.
So what are the main legal challenges that they're dealing with?
So first, there are shareholder lawsuits.
Okay.
And essentially, some investors are claiming that Dollar General wasn't entirely transparent
About their finances?
about their financial performance.
Yeah.
They're alleging that the company misled them about the severity of those issues we discussed earlier.
The shrink and the damages and all that.
Exactly. They shrink the damages, the labor costs.
So they're saying the Dollar General was kind of like downplaying those problems
Yeah, to make their financial picture look a little rosier.
than it actually was.
Exactly. And to make matters even more complex, there are also shareholder derivative lawsuits.
Now, what is a shareholder derivative lawsuit?
So in a nutshell, it means that shareholders are suing Dollar General's own leadership,
Oh, wow.
their officers and directors.
Oh.
They're accusing them of mismanagement,
Okay.
claiming that these leaders failed to act in the best interests of the company or its shareholders.
So it's like an internal battle on top of all the external challenges.
Exactly. And to make it even more concrete, one specific allegation in these derivative lawsuits
Yeah.
is that Dollar General's leadership knowingly understaffed their stores,
Wow.
which led to increased shrink because of inadequate security and oversight.
Oh, that's a serious accusation. It is.
How do you think these lawsuits are going to play out?
Unfortunately, it's too early to tell. Litigation can drag on for years.
But I mean, the outcomes of these cases could have a major impact on Dollar General's future, right?
Absolutely. If they're forced to pay out large settlements or make significant operational changes to appease shareholders,
Yeah.
it could really impact their growth trajectory and their overall profitability.
This just goes to show that, a company's success isn't just about selling products.
Right.
It's about navigating this whole web of, legal and financial and operational challenges.
And what's particularly interesting is that these lawsuits against Dollar General could have broader implications for the retail industry as a whole.
In what way?
Well, if these lawsuits are successful, it could set a precedent
Okay.
for how companies report their financial performance
Okay.
and how they're held accountable to their shareholders.
Right.
Other retailers might be forced to become more transparent about issues like shrink and labor costs.
So it could like trigger a wave of change. Yeah, it could be a domino effect.
Interesting.
And it's a reminder that even seemingly minor details in a financial report, like a 10Q,
Yeah.
can have far-reaching consequences.
We've covered a lot today from, the growth plans to the financial struggles, the legal battles.
It's a complex picture.
It is.
But what's crucial for our listeners to understand is that this isn't just about one company's ups and downs.
Right.
Dollar General's story is a reflection of the larger trends that are shaping the retail industry right now.
Like what we were talking about with the increased cost and the supply chain issues and, consumer behavior changing.
Exactly, and that's why it's so valuable to take a deep dive into these raw, unfiltered sources of information,
Yeah.
like a 10Q, because it gives us a glimpse behind the curtain and allows us to understand the complexities of the business world in a way that, headlines and news articles just can't capture.
Yeah. It really does feel like we got to see, like, all the behind the scenes stuff, their wins, their losses, the,
Yeah.
potential problems.
And how they're dealing with them.
Yeah. It's a really cool look at how companies have to kind of adapt.
Absolutely. And what I think makes it so relevant for our listeners is that it gives them a framework for understanding the broader business world.
Yeah.
Whether you're an investor, a business enthusiast, or just a, curious consumer,
Right.
these insights can really help you make more informed decisions.
It's all about connecting the dots.
Exactly.
Seeing how these things are all related and how one seemingly, small event can have a ripple effect.
And speaking of ripple effects, I wanted to highlight one more interesting thing from the 10Q.
Okay.
It mentions that Dollar General's considering different ways to boost their cash position.
Okay.
They're thinking about issuing more debt or potentially selling more stock to raise capital.
Interesting. So what would be the pros and cons of each of those?
Well, if they issue more debt, they're taking on more financial obligations,
Right.
which could impact their profitability down the line.
So it's like taking out a big loan.
Ex-
You get the money now, but you got to pay it back with interest.
Exactly. Now, if they decide to sell more stock, they'd be giving up a portion of ownership in the company.
Okay.
And that could dilute the value of existing shares,
Right.
but it might be a more sustainable long-term strategy.
So it's like short-term gain versus long-term stability.
Exactly. A tough call.
It is.
And we'll have to wait and see which path they choose.
Yeah.
But this is a perfect example of how even a small detail in a financial report
Yeah.
can raise these really interesting questions
Yeah.
and encourage us to think critically.
I don't think I'm ever going to look at a trip to Dollar General the same way.
Me neither.
It's wild to think about all this stuff that's happening behind the scenes
Yeah, all the complex factors that go into just getting those products on the shelves.
and all the decisions that are being made.
Absolutely.
So the next time you're walking the aisles of Dollar General, take a minute to think about, the supply chains and the pricing strategies and the marketing
And the legal battle.
and the legal battles, all of that.
It's all connected.
Yeah. It's a reminder that every purchase has a story.
It does. And that's the power of a deep dive.
Yeah.
We get to peel back those layers.
And see how the world really works.
Exactly.
Well, I hope everyone enjoyed this deep dive as much as we did.
It's been really fun.
It have.
And remember, the learning doesn't stop here.
Yeah.
Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep those 10Qs coming.
Until next time, happy deep diving.